Hello children, in this video we will discuss the structure of gametes in flowering plants. In our previous video we had discussed bache, that there are two major reproductive organs present in the flowering plants, and those two organs are carpel and stem. Now we will discuss the gametes which are produced in those reproductive parts. First we'll discuss the male gamete, that is pollen grain. Pollen grain is produced in the bulb-like structure of stamen, that is anther, which lies over a stalk-like structure, filament. If bache, we observe a cut section of it. What do you mean by cut section? Let us suppose bache, this is the anther which lies over. My hand acts as a filament and this bob-like structure at the top is anther. If we cut it from the middle and we observe it, then it looks like this much. This is filament. If we magnify the diagram, bache, this is anther, cut section. Bache. In that you'll observe the four sac-like structure. These are sac-like structures. Bache. These sacs are known as pollen sac. Sac matlab thैली जैसी structure है बच्चे, in which you will observe tiny structure, tiny spherical structure, and these tiny structures are pollen grain. If we observe closely at a pollen grain is somewhat a spherical structure composed of two protective layers over it. The outer layer is known as exine and inner layer is known as intine. This layer is exine bache and the inner layer is known as intine. Between these layers bache, there are certain pores present and these are known as germ pores. Intine and exine protect the pollen grain from the environmental changes, from the atmospheric changes in case of unfavorable conditions. Then bache, it has generative cell inside it which has its own nuclei known as generative nuclei, and inside it has another nuclei that is known as tube nuclei. So that means a pollen grain consists of two nuclei. The one is generative nuclei which is present inside a different cell, that is known as generative cell. Another one is tube nuclei which is present almost in the center of a pollen grain. So this is the structure of pollen grain, that is the male gamete in the flowering plants. Now we will discuss the female gamete. Female gamete is known as ovum or egg. That is called by the same name in the animals as well as in the plants. The female gamete is present inside the ovule, which is also known as embryo sac. Ovule or embryo sac is a oval structure, is an egg-like structure, like this picture, which is composed of 7 cells and 8 nuclei. The specific thing, the special thing about that is It is 7-celled and 8 nuclei. That is octanucleate structure. Octa means 8 and nucleate means consist of nuclei. इस स्ट्रक्चर की खास बात क्या है बच्चे, इसमें 7 सेल्स हैं और 8 न्यूक्लियाई हैं. कैसे? At its one end, it has 3 cells. These cells are known as antipodal cells. So these are 3 cells along with its 3 nuclei. The end at which the antipodal cells are present is known as chalaza. एम्ब्रियो सैक का वो एंड बच्चों जिस एंड पर एंटीपोडल सेल्स प्रेजेंट है, दैट एंड इज नोन एज चैलेजा. On the other end, on the opposite end of this, there are 3 more cells present. In the middle, they have ovum or egg. That is female gamete. And this ovum or egg, if you look closely, but there are 2 cells present around it. These 2 cells are known as synergids. These synergids, whensoever this ovum gets fused, जैसे ही ovum में आकर pollen grain fuse हो जाएगा बच्चे, these synergids will degenerate and gives its energy to zygote. जैसे ही बच्चों इस ovum से आकर pollen grain मिलेगा, the zygote will form. Zygote बन जाएगा बच्चे. As we had discussed in our class 9th बच्चे, when 2 gametes like pollen grain or ovum will fuse, fertilization takes place and zygote is formed. As the zygote is prepared, is formed, these synergids will degenerate, will gives its energy to zygote to develop, and they itself will be degenerated. At the center, it has a single cell with 2 nuclei, and that is known as polar nuclei. Polar nuclei are composed of 2 nuclei, but it is 1 cell. So 1, 2, 3 cells at the bottom, 3 cells at the top, 3 and 3, 6, and 1 cell is in the middle. So total cells are 7, but nuclei are 3 at the top, bottom, 3 at the top, 6 and 2 in the middle. That is 8 nuclei. So it is a 7-celled but octanucleate structure. So this is embryo cell. The end at which the egg is present is known as micropyle. So there are 2 ends of an embryo sac or ovule. One is chalazial end at which the antipodal cells are present, and the other end is known as micropylar end or micropyle at which the egg or ovum is present. In the center, the 2 nucleate structure is present. The binucleate structure is present. Bi means 2. Nucleate means consist of nuclei, which is known as polar nuclei. At the center, there are certain vacuoles are present, which gives its food, and then the cytoplasm is obviously there, which provides its nourishment. That is the rest structure. But the major structure is composed of 3 antipodal cells, polar nuclei, ovum, and the 2 synergids across these ovum. That is the ovule, or you can say the part where female gamete is present. So these are the gametes of flowering plants.